Well, how many people answered false to more than 4 statements? Raise your hand. And that was definitely me before I cleaned up my act, which took a few years. Okay. I've been in the same boat as you all, so we're all human. We all doing the best we can, right? So if you answered false to more than 4 of the statements, chances are you have this paragraph on the bottom. Chances are you're probably sugar sensitive. You're probably allergic to sugar and also addicted to it the same way an alcoholic is addicted to alcohol. You crave sugar, have withdrawal symptoms when you don't get it, and probably feel better for a short time after you've eaten it. And eating sugar to feel better, you're actually making your condition worse. If you answered false to 4 statements or fewer, it doesn't mean you don't have a problem with sugar. You may not be addicted to it, but perhaps you don't realize just how much sugar you're eating, kind of in hidden things. Okay, sugar is very, very addicting. Studies have been done that shows that sugar is more addicting than heroin. So don't get down on yourself for eating sugar because it's really, really hard to quit. And it took me quite a while, and I didn't really eat a lot of sugar, but I ate sugar all the time, like most people did. And growing up in the 60s, when I was a kid, I had headaches a lot. Not terrible headaches, but headaches quite often. And once I was about maybe 16 or 17, I made the connection. Oh, every time I eat sugar, I get a headache. I'm pretty sensitive. So I figured that out. And then as I got older through chiropractic school, because I was getting adjustments and stuff, and it helped that, then I would start getting muscle tightness right here. And I kind of always had that muscle tightness, but it got really bad right after I ate sugar. Then that happened for a while. And then my last symptom of eating sugar was I'd get super irritable, which actually ended up being to my benefit because my family members, especially my daughter, was really good about not letting me eat sugar because she knew I would just get really irritable and not be very nice to everybody. And I would just be, oh, why did I eat that? Now I feel so bad on my muscles, and I'd be so grumpy. So it was, really helped for her to say, don't. And I'll be like, come on, just a little bite. Don't do it, Mom. So, so how many people have experienced that they feel kind of irritable, maybe with their spouse or their partner or their kids, especially like right before dinner time? Anybody? Am I the only one? Anybody get kind of irritable and grumpy? So, for me, it was definitely the sugar thing. And again, I didn't eat a lot of sugar, but a little here, a little there, definitely craved it, okay? What's really interesting is on the other side of the page, and it's very, very tiny writing. So if you Google Nancy Appleton, PhD, it's a different Dr. Nancy. She wrote some books on how to lick the sugar habit, etc. If you Google it, you'll actually get those 146 reasons why sugar is ruining your health, and a way you could actually read it. But I do want to point out to you that number 12 says sugar interferes with the absorption of calcium and magnesium. Calcium is really, really important for the thyroid. And calcium and magnesium, everybody knows how important those nutrients are. So that it creates deficiency in that, along with B vitamins. Number 14, it can raise the level of neurotransmitters in the brain.
Excuse me, can you say along with B vitamins? What are we?
Deficiency. So sugar can create a deficiency of B vitamins as well, which really creates some nervousness. So thank you for making me clarify that. So sugar can cause a lot of problems, okay? So you could read through that list, or you could find it online. But the bottom line is we really could put the word sugar here, right? So because sugar definitely causes deficiencies and can cause organs to be dysfunctional. So a really good thing to ask yourself, this is what I asked myself when I realized what I was doing to myself is, okay, do I like how things are going along? Do I like how I feel every day? Do I like how I'm acting with my kids? And so forth. And is this something that I want to continue doing, or is this something I want to change? And it's best if you change this sort of habit, eating refined sugar and junk food or whatever. It's really best if you change it really gradually. Some of my patients just insist on, it works better for me to just boom. All right. But really, for most of us, it works better to change very, very gradually. And if it takes 9 months or 18 months or 2 years to really clean up your diet the way it should be, not perfect. We don't want to be fanatical and perfect. We want to just feed ourselves well enough so that we feel good, right? We want to enjoy life and function and feel good and not have aches and pains and not have arthritis, because sugar causes arthritis too. A lot of things cause these things, but I'm just giving you an example of how we can control our health. And so the question is, for those of you that came tonight, you're interested either for yourself or other people, is this something you feel like, you maybe want to make some changes, okay? So, because what we want to do is we want to stop this vicious downward cycle, right? We want to stop it, and we want to start creating health, and we want to start increasing the vitality in our body so that we start feeling better and start creating an upward spiral. Okay. That's a very loud phone call. Saving paper towels, 10 seconds, very loud.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and then you trigger again. Okay, that's okay. All right, so how do we figure out what organ is deficient? So this was the whole confusion as to why I didn't feel like I could just have a nutrition practice, which, by the way, as a chiropractor, nutrition is part of my scope of practice. And so that's what I've chosen to focus on to really help people heal from the inside out. Because many people, including myself, chronic neck problems, chronic. So it's lovely, I'm married to a chiropractor. He adjusted me every single day. I kid you not. And after a while, he got smart and he'd say, "What did you eat?" And honestly, the cleaner my diet got, the less I asked him to adjust me, okay? So we don't want to just keep adjusting people over and over and over again. Because actually, the founder of chiropractic, D.D. Palmer, okay, back in like 1899, he actually said that a misalignment of the spine is just as likely to happen from an external injury as it is from a chemical or toxin. So he knew that. And so chemicals and toxins in the environment can create an imbalance, and toxins from food, or products, non-foods that we ingest, can cause problems and cause misalignments. So as a chiropractor, or as a person who really wanted to deal with the underlying cause and help the body heal from the inside out, this work really resonated with me because that's what I've always wanted to do, okay? So nutrition response testing is what I have my training in. I'm an advanced clinician in nutrition response testing. I did a lot of training beyond my chiropractic training. So this was in 2006 through 2012. I did a lot of training to get my degree in nutrition response testing. It's not that well known. There's probably only about 500 to 600 of us advanced clinicians anywhere in the States. We're only really in the States. I don't think anybody outside the States that does this work at this level. Okay, so I feel very blessed that I found this work, and then I was able to get my training, and now for the past 10 years have been helping a lot of people get to the cause of their problem and get help that nobody else has been able to help. So I've had a lot of people that have been to all kinds of specialists, people that have been up to OHSU, people with diagnoses, and we're, kind of not given that much hope. And when we figured out the underlying cause and helped the body get better, they started doing better than they've been doing for years. I have one patient that comes to mind who's in her mid-60s that was told her thyroid numbers were a little bit off, and she needed to go on levothyroxine, which is typically the treatment, and she didn't want to. She did her research, and once you're on that, you have to stay on it, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything we can do? So she and I really focused on, everything that we can do to support her thyroid and all the, other glands that were involved. And after it was 3 to 5 months, whatever it was, let's just say 4 or 5 months of us really working together, focused on that. First of all, her symptoms were going away. Her hair was no longer falling out. She wasn't freezing all the time. She was starting to lose weight. She was feeling much, much better, more energy. And sure enough, when she went back and got her labs redone, the numbers were normal, where she didn't need to go on the medication. Doctor's like, well, I think it's okay. And I've had other patients who tell me, wow, I've been on thyroid medication for 20 years and my numbers have always just gotten a little worse and a little worse. This is the first time after, 6 months or a year or whatever, doing this work with me, that their numbers are actually improved. And, maybe the doctors are thinking they could, lower the medication. Because the medication, and sometimes people really need medication to function, and I don't object to that. I prefer it as a short-term fix, but whatever you need, you need. But the levothyroxine goes into your system just to put more of the thyroid hormone in your system. It does not heal or rebuild your thyroid at all. If anything, it probably makes it weaker, because now it's like, hey, I could just kind of kick back because
welfare.
she's just welfare. I like that analogy. All right. Anyway, so because now it's getting the levothyroxine that it's supposed to be producing, so it just gets weaker. So it's really not, And sometimes I've had some patients have really dramatic reactions to levo where they just like crashed, and so it's medication, so it can be a little bit harsh on you. All right. Yes. No, that's okay.
You said your patient, the example you shared. So do you agree that once you are on these medications, you kind of have to be on them?
If you don't do anything about it, but if you rebuild your thyroid and get to the underlying cause and clean up your diet and have a very holistic approach, you can go off of it. Yeah, with
even
your doctor.
If you've been on it for a while.
Right. Even if you've been on, if you've been on it for a long time, it's going to be harder to go off of it. And I discourage my patients. Sometimes like, oh, can I just go? No, don't go off your medication. It needs to be done correctly if it's going to be done at all. But the important thing is, with or without the medication, the important thing is to get your body functioning better. Okay? So let me tell you what we do. How does nutritional response testing figure out what's going on with your body? Okay, so you all have open minds. So you're here tonight. I hope you have open minds. This seemed really strange to me when I learned it 30 years ago in chiropractic school. Okay? It was like a little club, a muscle testing club. How many people have ever heard of muscle testing? It's also known as applied kinesiology, where the practitioner kind of presses on the arm and it goes weak, strong. Okay. So it seems really odd. I'm going to explain it a little better in a second, don't worry. But when I learned it a long time ago, I was kind of intrigued, but I'm like, oh, come on, that can't be valid. But fast forward to 2006, when I found out if you get trained thoroughly and you do it correctly, it's a fantastic tool to help the body heal. So come on up here. I didn't get a chance to introduce. This is Olivia. For those of you who don't know, she works at the front desk, and I could not function without her. So she is awesome. She's been with me at my office now for a full year, and I'm very grateful that she's here. So many of you know, and she helps everybody every day. So this is how the muscle testing works. I'm just going to show you the simple version. So somebody's arm is outstretched like this, and I put a little bit of pressure. Okay, we're not arm wrestling. I just put a little bit of pressure, and she should be able to just match my pressure and keep her arm strong. As I go and contact different areas of the body, if I contact an organ, so I can contact the thyroid or the liver or whatnot. So if I contact the thyroid and the thyroid is not under any stress and it's doing well, she'll be able to put a little stress on that and her arm will stay strong. However, if the thyroid's not doing so well and I'm now putting extra stress, her arm will go weak. That's the energy from her arm going to her thyroid because the thyroid needs help, and now it's being further stressed. So it seems kind of odd. Let me stay here for a minute. It seems kind of odd, but if you think about what happens if you're out in the cold for a really long time, right? Hypothermia sets in, and your body naturally goes into survival mode, pulls the energy from the arms and the legs into your core, right, to keep you alive. Well, then your fingers can get frostbite, right? We've all heard of these horror stories, okay? So that's the general principle of what we're using, but of course not in such a dangerous situation. But still, the body still can respond to different stimuli, and if done correctly, okay, will determine what areas are weak and what areas are okay. So when I check someone, I check every single organ in their body, and if they're having a knee problem or a back problem, I can check that. If there's something on their skin, so I can check anything. And then we go through and we figure out what's a priority, okay? So there's ways that we go through all this in the evaluation, and then I need to figure out, well, what does that, for instance, thyroid need? So remember I told you I never wanted to guess, well, try this, try that. I mean, how do you figure out, what people need, right? How do you know? How do you know? So the body knows. That's what's so exciting, is that the innate intelligence, we use that word in chiropractic, the innate intelligence or internal intelligence of the body, the same intelligence that keeps everything going 24/7 on its own, the same intelligence that that heals a cut. If you get a little cut on your finger, it heals up. That intelligence actually knows what you need. Pretty handy, right? So I have hundreds, and I have just a few here, I have hundreds of little test bottles of supplements. The supplements that I use are whole food supplements. In my practice, I use a combination of helping people with what they're actually eating, because that's very important, but also to kind of fill in the gaps and the voids and support them as they're trying to clean up their diet. Okay, so it works together with whole food supplements. But we want to know exactly what supplements does the body need. So based on my screening and the evaluation and my clinical knowledge, I'll be able to be directed towards what the person needs, but there might be 6 or 7 or 20 different things that it could be. And so what I'll do is, I'll choose one supplement at a time, and I'll have her hold this up against her thyroid or just somewhere on her body, and then I'll see, will the body like this? Because every single one of these supplements has a different energy signature. Okay, it actually has, like food, anything that's been alive or is alive in some way has energy. Okay, right? We all know about energy. And so the body then will pick up on, does it need this? Okay? And so maybe I'm thinking, oh, maybe this will be good. But look, her body's like, no, her arm is still weak. So this would be a waste of her time and money to take this. I don't want her to take this, right? Her body doesn't want it. And it's not going to help. And what good is that? So then I'm going to try this. And let's just say we're just demonstrating that this does help. Her arm's going to get very, very strong. And it's not until you actually do this and feel it, you're like, oh my gosh. And honestly, sometimes it kind of shocks me how strong the person's arm gets. It'll be so strong that I'll be like, man, I feel like I can do a chin-up on that arm. It's just like rock solid. Whereas before, and then I take it away, and the arm gets weak again. And at the end of this, you'll all have an opportunity to have a screening if you have the time tonight. Otherwise, you can schedule another time just to have a little sampling of what that feels like. Because I can't test, not everybody is a good candidate for care. I need to make sure I can test you, etc. So that's how we figure out which supplement or supplements, sometimes it's a combination of supplements, to make sure that any organs that are weak are going to respond to that, and then she's going to get strong. Thank you very much. Oh, let's do this one thing. So I just came across this. So what is this thing that we call energy, that we all have energy, right? So this little ball, how should I do this? So this, I'm going to touch this side of the ball. This is a demonstration that we all have electrical energy that flows through us. So we're now connected, right? Now Olivia's going to finish, she's going to finish the circuit, right? Okay, so this is just kind of like a little energy ball with magic.
You can touch both sides, so it doesn't work.
No, it does work because I'm finishing the circuit myself. It's more fun if you do. I was at a seminar, we did a big circle. So that's kind of the whole idea of energy flow, okay?
It's just like an electric fence. If you have an electric fence, it has to complete it.
Has to finish the circuit. But this is showing how people have energy, which is really, really important. All right. So the other part of that is, like I touched on, design clinical nutrition. Every single person needs different combination of supplements. So all the hundreds of patients that I have, even if 100 of them have the same symptoms, guess what? Are they on the same supplements? No. We don't just have protocols. Oh, when you have this, you take that. Because what's going to work for you is not going to work for you, etc. So that's what's really exciting to be able to figure out by using this muscle testing. And it's much more thorough than what I just did. This is just a little sampling to show you. We test a lot of other things. We test for toxins, test for chemicals in the body, food intolerances. We test all these things to make sure that there's nothing that would prevent your body from healing with just the right supplement. So we want to first find out, is there anything that needs to be cleaned out? So I explain all that in the evaluation. But each person needs something very, very specific. So that's how we do the custom design nutrition, okay? It's really important, I think you probably get this by now, that this is overall health. It's not a quick fix. This is not the emergency room. You know, sometimes people do need medical care. Sometimes people have come to me and I've said, you need to go to a medical doctor right now. They're like, but I don't want to. Yes, you need to go. You know, so if you need medical care, you need medical care. And this is, like I said, it's not a quick fix. This is something, your health, if it's not in the greatest state, like mine wasn't, you know, back in 2006 after having 4 kids and you know, nursing them for years, I was worn out. And yet I was hyper and irritable, but I was worn out. It was not a good state of affairs at all. Okay? So it, you know, wasn't overnight. It took me a while to get my health back. So you need to be willing to kind of unravel things. Fortunately, it does not take as long to get better as it did to get, you know, unwell. So that's a wonderful thing that our body has been built with. And it's also completely safe and natural. I have patients actually that are babies all the way to patients in their 80s. It's completely safe. My kids are on, the nutrition that they need, etc. So it's completely safe and natural, and that doesn't ever cause any harm, which is really, really awesome. So some of the other things that I put out here just to kind of give you an idea, because we talk so much about thyroid, but now well, it could be the pituitary gland, right? So what would you do for that? So I actually have different supplements that are designed for the pituitary gland. Okay, actually right now I'm taking this one. Okay, this is called GB Pituitary from a company called Systemic Formulas. They're a whole food herbal energy product line from in Utah. Many of these companies that I work with, I've actually been to the company and where they do their research and manufacturing and whatnot, and they're companies that only work with healthcare practitioners. So if you're not familiar with these products, it's because you're not going to find them unless you're at a health practitioner's office. So they're the highest quality you can find, and I buy them directly from the company. So this is called GB Pituitary. So if I test somebody's pituitary, which by the way, it's in the center of the brain, so we use a reflex right here, in case you're wondering how I would test that. There's certain reflexes for internal organs. They might test really well for this. And I've definitely noticed a difference when I take this. I usually take this around lunchtime. It definitely helps me going through the day because I have some really long days seeing patients. This is a standard process, as Olivia knows. This is a standard process product called pituitrophin, and this helps to heal and rebuild the pituitary. So why do I have two different ones? Because some people are going to test for this one. Some people are going to test for this one. Some people will test for neither, and I'm going to need to keep looking. What else might they need? Okay? And so these are some of the things. There's also iodine. We won't go too much into that, but iodine is extremely important. And the T3 and T4, most of the weight, about 60% of the weight of those hormones is iodine. And most of the country, a third of this country is living in iodine deficient environments. Okay? And in places where it's severely iodine deficient, about 80% of the people will have goiters. So iodine is very, very important, and sometimes it is a treatment for thyroid, and that's a good treatment. And I've seen some health profiles really turn around from the right iodine and the right amount. But you need to be really careful because sometimes a lot of times people's thyroids are not ready for the iodine because it's tired and worn out or has some toxins in it. You can't just throw iodine at it. It's like trying to whip a horse that's really tired and needs to rest. You would never do that. Cindy's a horse person, right? Right? You need to get them better before they can run fast. Same thing with your thyroid. You can't just start throwing things at it because it can make you feel terrible. But sometimes after a while of working with someone, all of a sudden in a visit, in a checkup, they test for needing iodine, and then boom, they're at their next layer of healing. So I think we have like 1 minute. Do you want to share really quick what happened with your sleep? Sleep is anybody know anybody or if it's you doesn't sleep quite as well as they'd like? Very, very common. So Olivia has a pretty awesome sleep story.
So when I was in college, my freshman year, I was struggling with a lot of sleep problems. I would get a full night, 8 hours of sleep, and then I would drink my cups of coffee, bring them to class, but I would sleep through 3 hours of class consistently every day. It was super frustrating for me because I was a freshman just wanting to, learn, and I wasn't able to. Every time I'd open a book, it seemed as though I was just falling asleep and it was washing over me to the point where I took a narcolepsy sleep test. And again, the findings were inconclusive and I was going to have to do another test. So I just, did away with that and I tried some diet changes on my own. And while I found some temporary fixes by taking out dairy, things like that, I found that once I started working here and I got on a program of my own, I was able to not nap during the day, which was huge for me because I used to nap pretty consistently all day. So.
And you were sleeping at night.
I was sleeping every night.
How many hours
I could sleep 10 hours at night and still want a 4-hour nap at the end of my work day. And when I'm working here, I really I don't have time for that. Yeah. So out of necessity and out of Nancy's healing, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was exciting. So obviously, her working here, I need her at her best. We're pretty busy all day and a lot of demands. And so not only did I want to help her feel better, but I also wanted her to experience for herself what is it like to rebuild your body from the inside out. And
Dr. Nancy never knew that I had blood tests done when I was in high school showing I had very low thyroid, like very low levels of T3, T4, I'm not sure. But I was always just 0.1 away from needing medication. So
right, which is kind of a blessing.
A blessing in
actually,
disguise, yes.
So I mentioned briefly, we're wrapping up right now too. I mentioned briefly that not everybody's a good candidate for care. And if somebody is not really someone who I feel would do well for whatever reason with this care, if I'm not able to test them, or if their body is just not responding to nutrition and maybe it's not the thing, then they're not likely to get very good results, and they're not somebody I'm even going to recommend that I work with at all. However, if I do test someone and I sit down with them and explain what I found, and they're on board and they're willing to do what they need to do and work with me and meet me halfway, then in my experience, they usually get really, really great results, oftentimes better than anywhere else. One of my husband's patients, he'd been seeing her for years, and she was just getting worse and worse and worse, fibromyalgia, and just really terrible, OHSU. Nobody can help her. She actually did not want to pursue care with me because she didn't want to be disappointed yet again. Honestly, it took her a year or two for him because he was adjusting her. How often she come in? A week, every 2 weeks?
Almost
every week for an
yeah.
adjustment. Oh, and he knew he wasn't going to be able to help her, and he of course knows what I do. He's my husband, right? I've helped him too. He no longer needs blood pressure medication and yada yada. Anyway, so he kept telling her, "You really need to see Dr. Nancy. I'm not going to be able to get you beyond this." She was using a cane. She's only like in her 40s, I think, late 40s. And every time I saw her, she just looked worse. And my heart broke for her. But what am I going to do? I had already actually done a little screening, and she's like, "No, I don't think so." I'm like, "Okay, what are you going to do? It's not right for everybody." Well, timing wasn't right, whatever it was. And she did end up telling me she just didn't want to be disappointed again and have false hope. Well, she now is doing fantastic. She looks like a completely different person. And she had energy to go back east and visit her sons in college. And she's starting to be able to eat real food again. I mean, I don't even want to go into the details. It's very, very incredible. And every time she sees my husband now, she's like, "I'm so glad you kept telling me I needed to see her because I can't believe how much better I'm doing." And she's really into natural stuff, and she was doing stuff on her own, but she wasn't doing exactly what she needed, So there's certain things in the body that they have to be addressed because they're the thing, Sometimes I just find all sorts of things. And if it's the thing you need and you stick with it long enough and do what you need to do, then the body gets better. So it's pretty exciting. So if any of you would like to it's just takes less than 5 minutes. And just, 2 or 3 minutes could be all, especially if there's a few people that want to do that. I like to get through them pretty quickly. If you want to get a little screening, there is a form in your bag. And we just need you to fill that out and then just raise your hand and Olivia will get it or just bring it over to her. And not to rush you, but in the order in which we get them, that's the order in which I bring people in. So I really appreciate you all coming to the talk tonight. While people fill out the form, is a really good opportunity for people. If you have any questions at all, I would like to be able to answer your questions. If you're not interested in a screening, or if you're already doing a nutrition program, or you're already doing what you need to do for your health, feel free to go home to your family or your bed or whatever you're ready for, and have a safe night and a safe drive home. And I appreciate you coming. Oh, well, no, it's for guests.
Yes.
No, it's for guests. No, it's absolutely just for guests. So thank you for coming,
Thank
Lynn.
you.
I hope it was
Thank you.
helpful. Does anybody have any questions that I could answer while people are filling out their forms? I know I covered a lot, so you're probably just taking it all in. Yes, Laura, you have a question?
I saw your Anthony Rowan book.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
At what point was he able to pinpoint a point in time when the food chain was contributing so much to when suddenly or
Things
maybe
got
it wasn't
bad?
suddenly-
Well, what he tells us, so Laura's asking me about this book I had up here, and I had a few things dog-eared. I was going to read from it, but we already went over so much. I just highly recommend this book. You can get it on Amazon. Sometimes I have extra copies, but they go as quickly as I get them. This book is phenomenal. information about some things about thyroid that really nobody knows yet. So you could read his story online or his original one. Beautiful recipes of incredible foods and snacks on the go. And anyway, how to make healthy ice cream. And anyway, it's great. He really is talking more about viruses. He talks all about the Epstein-Barr virus. And he talks about how it used to be kind of an innocuous to not really a big problem. But with the introduction of DDT and other chemicals and herbicides and pesticides, that virus morphed into a bad virus, and now over decades it's been affecting people. So that's mostly what he's talking about. Anthony William. Yeah.
So when was DDT introduced?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe 30s or 40s or something like that. So it's a combination of things, and evidently, I didn't know about this, evidently sometime in the 40s maybe, I think it is, herbicide and pesticide use was just rampant, like all the farm, it was like the thing.
So
It was like the fad. just
my
to do
grandma
that.
used to run behind trucks of DDT and they couldn't see their hands in front of their eyes.
There it is.
Yeah, she used to run
How many
behind
elements
huge
did
trucks.
she have out of that?
Really?
Mhm.
Oh my
Yeah.
lord. Yeah. By the way, these are from, this has nothing to do with Anthony William, but these are from Costco. Anybody shops at Costco, they have a lot
That's a
of
good
nice
product.
organic dried fruits.
They
Yeah.
also have these products at Grocery Outlet. Anthony.
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
that's
they
what
have,
it
and
is.
grocery outlet, yeah, right up the road, they
Yeah.
have a lot, and they have
Uh-huh.
organic frozen
Yeah,
mangoes. Yeah, so, yeah. Oh, and I have the other handout, I'll just put it by the front desk, so as you leave. There's two handouts for you to grab if you'd like on your way out. One is a brief list of foods that heal, and the ones that are highlighted are particularly good for your thyroid, but there's way more than that even. And then my next talk, I'm going to skip February because I'm doing some traveling in February. I'm going to a conference. I was going to say it's a short month, but this year it's 29 days February. So, is it this year? Oh no, not this year. Okay, it's not a week. But anyway, this is my next talk is going to be focused on heart health. So there's obviously a lot that can be done for your heart nutritionally. So those flyers are up there, and then I'll put these as well. The foods that heal. You get a chance to pass them around. So.
Cindy made me come today, that part. But I wanted people to
All right, good. So we've got people, yeah, so we're going to be doing that. And so feel free to hang around, whether you're getting a screening or not. Olivia will put the DVD